Hey kids, this is Ivan. How you doing? I don't know if you can hear the wind out there, but it is windy and it is cold. So figured I'd wear one of the warmest hats I have. This is a ski hat. One of my guitar players got me a long time ago. Used to wear it at gigs every once in a while. So digging it. Anyhow, if you're not sure what to if you run dry of video topics, I found that what you do is you make a video. And responses, get your juices flowing. And I just had, I was busy anyway. This is why I didn't make a video for a few days. But I did get some responses that generated all kinds of thoughts. So anyhow, this video is going to be a short one, but about one of them. And it is kind of going to be a little bit of an old school game video. So, I'm warning you right now. And if you haven't guessed from the title, it's about competent characters in old school games. That typically means like old school, D&D. Which is what I grew up with. But somebody had asked, at least one person had asked, how do you reconcile your love of like a competent characters? Like for me, in a game, I want characters to be competent. That would be something if a game were designed for me. I want some characters that are competent. How do you reconcile that with liking some of the zero to hero type stuff that I tend to espouse or enjoy in games? And so I'll say this, that it depends on what part of the character you're looking at. Now, if you're just looking at things like their hit points and their initial attack bonus and whatnot, okay, well, starting first level characters and we'll say the old versions of D&D, they're not all that powerful. They are more powerful than the average guy, a little bit. But not tremendously. But here's really what I wanted to talk about. Here's one of the funny things that happened. Or happened, or whatever happened. What happened was, a lot of us years and years ago started playing games like Dungeons and Dragons, and we were isolated. We had no idea that other people played it differently than we did, and so we got used to a particular style of play. Some of it was informed by reading the books and all the Gygaxian prose and whatnot, but some of it just turned out to be like who we were playing with. And so I was, and some of this is supported by the literature. I couldn't tell you where it is in the Dungeon Master's Guide or whatever, but I remember it's there. Pretty sure it's there. The idea that adventurers are just competent people. They're different than normal people. They are cut above. They're unusual and they're extraordinary in some way, shape, or form. And it's not just based on their ability scores and their profession and all that sort of stuff. If you are going out and adventuring, whatever that entails, you are different than the norm. And this goes for even something like wizards. If you're an adventuring wizard, you're unusual. Most wizards are sitting around stirring cauldrons in their towers, researching magic and whatnot. But there's this special breed of magic user, whatever you want to call them, that actually go out in the world and do stuff. If you're a cleric, you're a little different than all these other priests and all these other clergy of whatever god you serve. Most of them are getting their power or whatever, or just whatever they're doing. They're once again, they're reading the holy text. They're ministering to the people. They're evangelizing. They're protecting their communities, or serving as a spiritual leader of their communities. But not you. You're going out there and you're playing Van Helsing and kicking ass. You're different. You're an unusual person. And even something like, fighters. You're not the town guard. You're not necessarily just a mercenary. You're not necessarily just a soldier. You're somebody that can go out and survive in the wilderness. You know what to do out there. You know how to ride a horse. You know how to use rope. You know how to get from point A to point B. You know how to light a fire. All this good junk. Same thing for like whatever other class you want to think of. If you're a cut purse, that sort of thing, you're an unusual one. You're not the normal guys out there, filching things from people's pockets in the city streets. You're out there. You're playing Indiana Jones. You're a different kind of person. You are competent. And so it doesn't explicitly say, you can do this, this, and this. It's just kind of assumed. That was the assumption we played with. They could do these sort of things. They were more competent than the average Joe. And what happened, and I don't want to turn this video into an addition war. I mean, how could I really get all that serious in this video wearing this hat? But the idea a lot of us had, and some of us stayed and watched the hobby change. Various editions of that game came out, and some people were like me, then went and had families and went returned and saw what had happened with the hobby. And to me, my perspective and a lot of other people's perspectives is, the skills that got added to the game really were skills that got taken away from the characters, because it was assumed before that we could all do this. I'm not knocking either style of play. I'm just saying that's what it looked like to us. Is, well, wait a minute, we all used to be able to do that. Now, what do you mean we have to buy points and choose which ones we can do? Competent characters. So, that's why, when I'm talking about competent characters and still liking a zero to hero motif in games like something like, there we go. I never pulled this one up. I never really talked about this. Labyrinth Lord, pretty much direct clone of BXD&D. Um, that's what we're talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Competent characters, people that maybe they're not the toughest yet, but they know how to do stuff. They're cut above the average person. They're the guy you want with you when you're out there in the wilderness, when you're negotiating with the hostile tribal chieftain, all this kind of stuff. Competent people. You want that guy with you in the temple as you're trying to pry the gems out of the eyes of the statue and then run for your life as the whole thing falls apart. Competent people. Unusual and perhaps crazy. They'd wear this hat.